uh, have you, have any of your contributors over the years been people who have now been indicted?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Well,
you're not saying that
you
knew anything at the time, but
oh, absolutely not. I mean, your paper, the Times leader called when Rob Miracle was indicted, and I think I was one of the only ones to answer the call, and I told the reporter, I said, listen, I said, you've always answered my call when I wanted you to cover me on the good stories, and this is a bad story and a hard story, but you know, I just want you to make sure that this is fairly reflected. You know, I've known Rob Miracle for a number of years. He's been a pillar in the community in terms of creating tens of thousands of jobs, in terms of his philanthropy, in terms of his support for your paper and advertising dollars. So I just want to make sure that it's clear. I have no knowledge of any activity that a donor, whether it's Rob or anybody else, might be engaged in behind a closed door. I said it's unfortunate. He is being held accountable for his crime, as he should be, and that, of course, was it was prior to the donation was several years before. Or a few years before that. So it's a difficult thing. The unfortunate thing in public life is you got to raise dollars to run, and there are going to be occasions where someone in the past is going to have given you a donation and then they go on to do a bad thing. It's unfortunate. I don't think it necessarily in any way reflects on me. It's very difficult to personally vet and research, almost do a clearance check on anybody that happens to give you, particularly someone who is as prominent in the community as Rob. But you know, that was a difficult.
Did you consider running for a higher seat, let's say Paul Kondrarsky's seat?
No, I've really focused on being state representative. Sometimes the press likes that side story, likes the political carnival. But you know, anytime, and back to Mark's point a little earlier in the day, were there any consequences to standing up to political leaders? Was there any consequences? Well, when I stood up on an issue of principle, on an issue of vision in terms of the development that we were trying to create in Nanticoke, with bringing the community college into the downtown, and disagreeing with Congressman Kondrarsky on his vision. That, of course, and I think played up in large degree by the Congress. That meant that I was running for his seat. I have 3 beautiful daughters that I want to be first and foremost their father. I don't necessarily care if they know me as a state representative, as a state senator, as a congressman. I definitely want to know them to know me as their father. And congressional ambitions were really never in my heart. I love state government. I've always been engaged in politics, but the view wasn't about climbing a ladder. The view was about projects. And what's so exciting for me is that, and it was one of the questions a reporter asked me, he said, well, is this going to be your toughest election? I said, the toughest election was when I was a 25-year-old kid with no record and no accomplishments, knocking on somebody's door and say, hi, I'm John Yudichak, vote for me because I have some ideas. Well, you could imagine that a few of those seasoned folks said, well, geez, this guy's something else. He has no record, no accomplishment. Well, now I have 12 years of delivering on the promises that I've made, about being accountable to the voters. Having that opportunity to represent northeastern Pennsylvania and to drive the issues that I care about representing this area as a region. Big difference between the state representative's jobs and the state senator job. I represent 15 communities. It's easy to be parochial. I've tried not to be that way, creating the jobs in the city of Wilkes-Barre, reaching out and creating the Municipal Cooperation Commission and trying to bring all 76 municipalities in Luzerne County together. Having that opportunity to be a regional leader as a state senator, to work with Lisa Baker from on the other side of the aisle and work as a team to represent northeastern Pennsylvania. That's the opportunity that I want to pursue. The ideas about the congressional race and the feud and the back and forth, that's really just good political drama, I guess.
John, if I can just ask a question here. You've got a campaign here to run. And
yes.
You've already had some issues with the tone of the campaign, and you've addressed them, and they've even, referred to Ed Mitchell as a hired gun and releasing sophomore press releases,
right.
I think. What baggage do you think that you have that they may go after? Let's talk about per diems and the rental situation and that sort of stuff in Harrisburg, and talk about how you're going to handle that and how you're going to keep the focus on issues, and talk about your accountability on those.
Well, I don't think I have to list them. I imagine Ed Mitchell is going to inform you rather quickly of what all those what he believes is the baggage. More than ever, in an environment where you've seen, where we're approaching now 30 indictments of elected officials and community leaders, and where when you knock on the door of a widow in the Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre, or where you knock on the door of a young family in Exeter, or a family in Hazleton, you can sense it in their body language. You can sense it in the tone of their voice. There is this tremendous crisis of confidence, and they want to believe. They want to believe in government, that government can work for them. They have seen over the last several years, and certainly by what has been spread across the headlines, that for far too long, government has worked for the politicians. I want to try to make government work for people again, and so that should be the tone of the campaign. And listen, I'm sure there are some votes that I've made that may not reflect well on me over my 12 years, and there's. Particularly being in a legislative body, that where you voted for an amendment or you voted for a parliamentary procedure, and you can extrapolate all kind of ominous tones out of that. That's why I said, listen, I'll go before the people. I will stand in a town hall forum, and I'll do it in every community in the 14th senatorial district, and not to a moderator. Turn the mic over to the voters. I know I'm going to get grilled. I know I'm going to be criticized. But I've always learned that people feel that you're accountable, that you're responsive to them, that in the end, that you can then have a serious discussion and dialogue about the important issue. If you are not responsive, if you're not accountable, you are never going to be able to deliver results as a public official, because the voters are never going to trust you. And so that's why I continue to ask for the debates. I think we should have more than two. We're talking about a mere 2 hours of debate to represent 250,000 people for 4 years. The folks that are actually doing the hiring in this, that are doing the job interview, are the voters of the 14th District. They deserve an opportunity to ask me a question. They deserve an opportunity to ask Tom Late a question and hold us accountable for our records. I have a 12-year open record in the State House. They can examine that, and they can ask questions. The same should have to be applied to the mayor and his record as a mayor and as a councilman in the city of Wilkes-Barre.